It's Darcy Loma, and I am here today with Amy Bauer. And for some reason, there is an echo. I don't know. Do you hear that echo, Amy?
I do a little bit.
Okay, I don't know what's going on, but we're going to just go with it. We've had some technical challenges this morning. So Amy is my guest today, and she reached out to me after I sent out an email last week, and everyone is doing the best they can. And I wanted to just read a vignette of the email she sent me here with her permission. She said, "Oh, Darcy, everything in this email hit home. Recently, when I started to focus on not being so hard on myself and judging others, I noticed my children were doing the same things. I've tried to explain to them that nothing is fair right now. They range in age from 18 to 23. We've had a lot of conversations about this in our house lately, and I forwarded this email to them and suggested we discuss it at dinner this evening." Amy, that email touched me and touched my heart. And I wanted, you are a mom, you've got also a mom of two daughters and a blended family with your partner who has two children, and you're a vice president in a bank. And I'm wondering what spoke to you in that email about everyone's doing the best they can, where we're talking about judging ourselves and judging others. And I want to thank you for joining me.
Sure, thanks for having me. When I read that email, this is really the first pandemic that this generation of kids has ever lived through, and it's my life. I've got one that graduated high school, one that graduated college this spring, one that's now they're job searching. Nothing is fair, and I found myself, grumbling in the morning and driving to work and thinking, how am I going to show up today? Like, the lobbies are closed. We do what we love because we love people, and so sometimes I just sit in my car and think, okay, Amy, how are you going to show up today? Are you going to go in with a bad attitude because you're never going to get a positive result with that, or can you turn it around? And when I started doing that for myself, I noticed that my kids were doing the same thing. And so we opened up a lot of conversations about it, and it's not anything new in my house. When I was first introduced to Thoughtfully Fit, I was working with blending a family, and when you blend families and children are raised differently, on the days that the kids would come back, I would dread going home sometimes because maybe it didn't end on a positive note, or maybe they came back with a different behavior when they were with the other parent. And I would literally sometimes just sit in my car at night and think, all right, Amy, just pause. Where are you at? How are you going to go in this house? How are you going to show up tonight? Do you want it to be a fun evening? Is it going to be a bad evening? How are you going to handle it? And it really, really helped me get through some of those hard times and help my kids start to understand this too.
Right. It sounds like you have demonstrated in our Thoughtfully Fit model, strength is one of the 6 practices, and it's all about being able to consciously choose how you show up in any situation. And when you are describing that, Amy, your ability to pause and think, how do I want to show up? And then act from that place, that takes an incredible amount of self-awareness, self-management, discipline.
It can be hard, but it's really important to me to have a positive attitude and to raise these girls to be strong, positive young ladies. And there are things in this world that we just can't control. So when we take a look at ourselves and focus on what we can control, it helps to guide them a little bit. One of my favorite questions to ask them, so as an example, when graduation was canceled this spring, and my college senior was a little bit bummed about it, but my high school senior really took it hard. And I just said to her, how long are you going to be mad about this?
Wow.
And that's a trigger for her that says, okay, mom knows that you're upset, but she wants you to stop and think about what's really important here. And then I'm like, I asked them to give me, are you going to be mad about this for a week or 2 days, or how long are you going to be mad about this? And then it's, let me know when you want to talk about it. And then we talk about what's important and how are we going to get through it. And we've had a lot of dinner conversations about this at our house lately because, one is in healthcare. I've got 2 in healthcare, and one is a freshman in college who really wanted the college experience, but ended up being able to stay home because her classes are virtual. And so how are we making the best of this? What can we do?
Right. And one of the things I'm hearing as you're talking is you're helping your daughters to be in that place of being intentional and thoughtfully choosing. It's okay that you're upset.
Yes.
And you can choose how long, right? So, and that's okay. If you say, I'm going to just sulk for a week, or I'm going to sulk for 2 minutes, or whatever it is, but then choose what you want to do next. Oh, that is powerful. And so your daughters both just graduated, and it sounds like they're in this place. This is our back to school month. I had a high school senior on 2 weeks ago, and then a mom of 3. Next week, I'm having a superintendent of public schools, actually Dr. Joint. So when you think about if there are other working parents out there who are trying to support their families and trying to also, like Amy, you are demonstrating being thoughtfully fit as a professional. What tips do you have on how, I mean, you've already given amazing tips. What tips do you have on how to be able to be thoughtful in the moment and focus on what you control?
Somebody gave me some really good advice once that said, every time, before you're going to say something, stop and think, what's hard about this? What do I want to happen? How do I want this person to feel? How do I want the situation to end? And just go through it. It's really about making yourself aware of what's going on and learning about not reacting. It really is. It takes a lot of self-reflection to think, how do I want the other person to see me? And that's a lot of what we have going on at our house. You know, talking about how do we want others to see us, even here at work. Yep, we might be having a bad day, but how do we want to show up for that client? How do we want others to see us?
And it sounds like really embracing that mindset that, yeah, everyone is doing the best they can, even if it doesn't feel like it's good enough. Or even if it is biting or edgy, or they're in a bad mood, or even if I'm not handling my safe the way I want to, we're doing the best we can.
Yes. I have a colleague that struggles, and she and I talk quite often. She calls me her safe place, and she's struggling with this whole. She has young children at home, and I don't envy her at all from having to be home trying to work. And so when your email came out, I'm like, oh my gosh, this not only hits me at home, but it hits me at work too. And I forward it to her right away, and I'm like, remember, you are amazing, and you are doing the best that you can do right now. It's okay. Maybe you didn't get everything done today, but you got 3 things done today, and they were important.
Wow. And to be able to be a safe place for somebody, and then to be able to champion her. To me, when we look at being thoughtfully fit, it's about being able to be thoughtful with yourself, but then also being thoughtful and considerate with others. And that's just a beautiful example of you choosing how you want to show up in your friendship, and not judging her or others for their struggles, but trying to figure out how can you help make the path easier for them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an amazing friendship. She's an amazing woman, so I envy her. I look up to her a lot, much. Yes. So.
Wow. Well, thank you for joining me today. I can imagine we could spend the next hour even talking about what it's like, not only for you to be parenting your own daughters, but then parenting with a blended family.
Yes. Thankfully, I have a really good relationship with the girls. So, yeah. I've had to choose to show up with them a little differently than my own, but that's okay. That's okay. I figured it out.
Yeah, because the dynamics are different there. And the important thing of what I just heard you say is you're choosing how to show up. And when we look at the core of thoughtfully fit, that whole like pause and think in the moment so you can act thoughtfully is all about being able to make conscious choices and control how you show up in the moment.
It's been very helpful for me. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, Amy, thank you for joining us today to share some of your wisdom and your brightness with those of us who want to be more thoughtfully fit.
Oh, thanks for having me, and thanks for introducing me.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you everybody for your patience as the echo is there. We're going to figure out what's going on with the technology. All right, take care everybody. Happy Thoughtfully Fit.